So we got two quick, interesting things going on with reform this week. We've had another person stand down from the council over in Doncaster. So we'll be getting into that very quickly. It is literally a very brief update, but it gets you up to speed on the stuff going on over in Doncaster because we haven't touched on the stuff going on in there quite a while. However, the main thing we'll be looking at today is the cabinet reshuffle going on down in Kent, because there are now rumours going around that Nigel Farage, like, what he wants is he wants a crown jewel. He wants to be able to point apparently to Kent and say, you see how good Kent is performing? You see how good Kent is doing? Supposedly, he wants Kent to be the crown jewel in Reform's crown. So he is apparently putting a lot of pressure on people in Kent to reform, or shall we say to perform, shall we say, because he wants to point to that as his crown jewel. Meanwhile, of course, this is upsetting apparently people in Durham. They're not happy that he's paying, shall we say, so much attention to Kent. So maybe interesting things certainly going on in the background, if, again, the rumours are all about that to be believed. But interesting stuff that this reshuffle has happened. Once again, goes to show you Reform, no clue what on earth they're doing. But before we do get on into this, as always, please do remember to click, of course, the like and subscribe button. As always, thank you very much to all those people who do help, like I say, and support the channel that way. If you do want to help support the channel another way as well, there are links down below. You have the Patreon page, you have the Buy Me Coffee link where you can buy me coffee, you have the YouTube thank you button, and of course, as well, you've got the YouTube membership down below as well. So always remember, click that like and subscribe. It always does help out the channel. So thank you very much to all those people who do help and support that. So first of all, as we said, on with the quick update as to what is going on over in Doncaster, because we've just had another Reform councillor quit. And the last time we touched on this, we touched on about the Reform councillor who was basically posting some outlandish conspiracy theories on there, and he got the whip taken away from him. He's still actually sitting on the council as an independent, just not as a Reform candidate. But this person, though, has basically gone up straight away and quit. And I wouldn't be too surprised to find out that, yeah, this person's probably looked at it and gone, yeah, maybe it's not a really good idea to be a Reform councillor, having that on your CV and that being, maybe publicly known. So let's go on into this. So Reform UK Council has now resigned just 2 months after being elected to Doncaster Council. Samuel Booth was elected to Bentley Ward alongside Reform's Rebecca Booth and Labour's James Church at the May elections. The spokesperson now for Doncaster Reform UK Group said that Booth had resigned now for personal reasons. Again, personal reasons, the catch-all term for we really don't want to say why she's left or why they've left, shall we say. I think there's more going on behind the scenes than meets the eye. I think there's a lot going on behind more the scenes than meets the eye on this one. Doncaster Council is, of course, yet to actually issue any formal information on the timeline now for the by-election to elect a Booth successor. According now to local democracy reporting service, the Chief Council Executive, Dame Allen, has now written to the councillors notifying them now of a notice of vacancy that will be published now for the seat. The council website currently displays one seat in Bentley is now having a vacancy, and Samuel Booth's profile now leads to an error message. What a nice way to pretty much the blanket statement for pretty much every Reform councillor. They are just an error message. It will be interesting, of course, to keep an eye on some of these by-elections, because this is something else worth bringing up, that we have had a couple of by-elections recently where Reform are actually defending these seats and they aren't winning them, interestingly enough, especially in the council areas where they have had overall control, which I think, again, is hugely damaging to this whole idea that Reform is going to sort of win and like sweep away at the next elections. I think that local people especially, are seeing what is going on, and they're like, maybe not, maybe not the party that they thought they, should we say, made themselves out to be. So in this, of course, on Doncaster, this now takes them to 35 overall sitting councillors. This takes them down from, of course, 37, because, again, they had to suspend one from their party. That was Mark Broadhurst, where he was making unacceptable posts on social media. So, yeah. Not too, of course, surprising on that one, but just a quick update on what was going on in Doncaster there. However, of course, this is our main one today. What is going on in Kent? As we alluded to when we started, there is something going on with Kent that Farage is apparently putting a lot of emphasis and a lot of pressure. This is apparently why Doge is starting in Kent, but there's now a lot of criticism coming from the fact that they're 2 months into the job and they haven't done anything yet. So it looks like that there's been a little bit of a cabinet shake-up in this. So Reform UK led Kent County Council now replaces cabinet member Bill Barnett less after than 7 weeks. So again, replacing someone after 7 weeks, yeah, pretty interesting just to replace them like that. So Reform UK's new administration at Kent County Council has now replaced its first cabinet minister less than 7 weeks into the job. Maybe he couldn't get his feet under the table fast enough, you know, as Nigel Farage has kept on saying. You just need to let them get the feet under the table and they'll be fine. 2 months and they're already not doing anything on this. So Councillor Bill Barnett, who represents the Ashford Rural South Division, stepped down from his place at the top table, where he was in charge now of the highways and transport. A Reform UK spokesperson insisted that an agreement had been made and that Councillor Barnett was not sacked. Oh yes, they just came to an agreement after 7 weeks. Just came to agreement for him to be stepped down and be replaced by someone else. The official statement, of course, from County Hall this afternoon said that the leader of Kent County Council has announced now a change to a cabinet. Lyndon Carman says that Ben Barnett, who represents Ashford Rural South, made the decision to step down as his role from cabinet member from Highways and Transportation. He will now be replaced by his deputy, Peter Osborne, the member for Hythe West. The Kent County Council leader, Lyndon Carman, said that I've today made changes to my cabinet team to support me and Kent County Council to deliver the ambitious plans that we have set out to try and improve this authority and the county of Kent. So, once again, says to me, you didn't think this guy was performing or being good enough in his position. And why did you put him in the position in the first place if you're just going to replace him now? You know, kind of odd that you're doing this. And this is all leading to the theory that they are having a lot of pressure put on them to perform by Farage and that London office, because Farage wants to say that like Kent is like the crown jewel of reform, that this is how good you could have it too if you vote for reform. Again, not going that way, is it? So, of course, Linda's statement continues, saying that it's still, of course, early days for the Reform administration, and a reshuffling now and fine-tuning of my cabinet is something that I have to do as leader to ensure that I have the best possible team around the top table who can deliver now on the promises we have made to Kent residents. You are doing a reshuffle weeks into this guy getting the new job. Why on earth did you not put someone who was better in? I don't know. But it's weird. However, you'll notice that there is yet another theme forming here. That Reform UK are putting incredibly young people who themselves do not have experience, being a councillor, or in this position, being a cabinet member, with like the experience needed to run the highways cabinet position of Kent. Again, really weird that they are doing this to young people, because it's not going to be good for them. Because sooner or later, these people are going to have to face either major decisions, something could go horribly wrong, as we've seen in Leicester with the in Leicestershire with like the two, like the 19-year-old and the 22-year-old in charge of adult services and child services. Yeah, like what could possibly go wrong there, right? Anyway, back to this. Every member of my cabinet, of course, took the role on understanding that position now may be subject to changes. Yeah, subject to some very, very quick changes indeed. Of that one, just weeks into your new job, you know. The chief whip, of course, Councillor Maxwell Harrison, said that Kent County Council had the highest profile Reform UK run authority and is now under intense scrutiny. But scrutiny by who? He added, of course, Bill wasn't sacked. He agreed to leave. It was an agreement. Bill was doing a good job and there was no bad blood. He's a talented individual. Then why did you get rid of him? If Bill is just such a good guy and a talented individual, why are you giving the impression that he was sacked and asked to leave? Because that's the impression this is giving off. That is how this is coming across. It really gives off that vibe, and they are desperate not to make it look that way. But anyway, it continues. But we also have to make sure that we have the right people in the right places. Then why did you put him in that position in the first place? The Liberal Democrat leader of the opposition, Anthony Hook, also said the Highways Cabinet member is, of course, one of the most important roles at the council. Our roads and public transport and footpaths now need urgent attention. Bill Barnett was in the post for just 45 days. There must be now the shortest time that anyone has ever held such a post at the Kent County Council. We need urgent action now on big problems, but reform now are just giving us unexplained instability in the cabinet. And again, he's right. You know? And he lasted, again, a day shorter than Liz Truss, although, you know, there's a big difference between being the Prime Minister, being completely in charge of the country, and then being the guy in charge of the highways in Kent County Council. So maybe not, I don't know, cabbage worthy, but just something worth pointing that out. On Friday, of course, Mr. Barnett emailed Kent County Council members about, of course, joining a cross-party walking and cycling working group, which would have been a very good initiative. He then left his post the next working day. I hope he's not been sacked, because his party now is generally hostile to cross-party working and walking and cycling. I get an idea, and from what has happened here, that is not too far from the truth. Not, of course, walking and cycling, but hostile to cross-party working. Right? As I said at the beginning, there is now a big sense that Nigel Farage wants to use Kent County Council as his crown jewel. And they are having a lot of scrutiny and a lot of pressure put on them. If you don't have people performing, then, you know, it's really strange that goes and happens, doesn't it? That they just get rid of this person and they use that type of language, insisting that he hasn't been sacked. You're really insistent that he hasn't been sacked. Well, what's his take on this? I think this guy, by the sounds of it, was sacked because he was organizing a cross-party working group. And there's one thing that is coming from this Reform Office unit down in London, and that is you do not work with other parties, because they want to take credit for everything. It has to be reform only and reform led. If other people, you know, other parties vote for it, great, but they ain't going to get any credit. They ain't going to get anything. They ain't going to get anything. This was reform, reform, reform. And I think that's what happened. That is my speculation. Might not even be what happened. It might have been this guy got the sack because they realized, oh, actually, this guy isn't very good at all, which again, maybe could be the place, but then again, you can say that about the raft, of course, of reform councillors. It's just very interesting that this guy suggests a cross-party working group, and then a day later he gets, well, again, not the sack, but sounds completely like they've given him the sack. You know, when someone's trying to, like, I don't know, they're trying to invite you to like some multi-level marketing scheme, and they're like, this is totally not a pyramid, right? This is totally not a pyramid, but it is a pyramid scheme. But anyway, as always, thank you very much, of course, for watching, of course, today's video. Please do remember to hit the like and share button, and of course, hit the subscribe button as well. And of course, don't forget to ring the bell. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.